Hello, friends. This is Coach Roger. You live younger, longer health coach. And when you hear that whistle, pay serious attention. If you've been following me, you know I've declared the month of March, Make a Difference Month. The month you decide to take stock of your health and take charge of your health because no one else will. Not your doctor, not your wife, nobody. Let me ask you a question. Are you at risk? Do you think you're at risk? Well, I'll tell you, if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're probably feeling fine. I know I sure did. I sure did. But these are the years when the silent killers begin building up. Before that, we really felt good in our 30s, 20s, and 30s. But as life progressed and stress became worse, and we kept eating more and more processed food, the silent killers are creeping up. And what do I mean by the silent killers? Well, here's the first one, probably blood pressure. And the second one is belly fat. That's one of the things that's most critical is the size of our belly. And you want to know the waistline. The waistline is not down here where your belt is. Your waistline is here where your navel, just above your navel. And that's a physical fact. But a couple of other things that may be going on is blood sugars might be going up. Stress is way over the top because you're raising your family, you're in a career. It's tough. And that's the problem. Most people in your age group, if you're in your 40s and 50s, which I hope that's where you are. I know that's most of the people watching me, men and women. You're working hard. You're raising a family. I know what it's raising a family like. We had 3 kids. We got now 8 grandchildren. It's wonderful. And you're building a career. And while you're so busy, the risk is quietly building up in the background. You know, if your belly's too big, if you're overweight, whatever, if you bottle that stress up, all that stuff is adding to potential chronic disease. And organizations like the Heart Association consistently warn cardiovascular disease often develops silently for decades before the symptoms appear. And if you know my story, that's what happened to me. That's why good health in your 40s and 50s matters so much. These are the years where you can still change the trajectory of your health. And I want to tell you what I learned when I was in my 60s is how good real food can taste and how good you feel. So where you are in your 40s and 50s, I just pray you'll listen and start taking charge of your health. So what can you do? What can you do? Well, say take charge of your health. If you saw my video last week, I talked about becoming the CEO of your health brand. There's lots of things you can do. You can open your internal pharmacy. You can make your health your hobby. Pills and skills method. Those are the things I want to talk about as your coach. Again, no one else is going to take charge of your health or be the CEO of your health. Not your doctor, not the insurance company, not the healthcare system. Because the healthcare system wants you to be sick so they can charge you. I'm sorry. I'm on that bandwagon, but that's a fact. They just push pills, pills, pills. And my wife's a pharmacist, and God bless her, she's worked her hiney off on that over the years. But yet the whole secret is to try to do things naturally. We have a disease care system in this country, not a health care system in the country. Your health is your company to run. Yeah, that's a different way of looking at it. Your health is your company to run. Excuse me. I remember the number one prevention against heart disease is exercise. And exercise is nothing more than how you move. How do you move? Do you walk? Walking's a simple exercise. You don't need to go get spandex or anything else, or shorts. Excuse me, just go out and walk. I see people around the hospital walking around the hospital on their break. Not too many of them, but more of them should. Strength training. Okay, strength training. You don't need to go to the gym and lift lots of weights. Here's just a simple little thing like for your hands. Or if you keep a couple weights by your desk, or get these stretchy bands. They come in different strengths. You just sit here at your desk, do this. Yeah. If you got kids and got bicycles, ride a bike. Or just go outside and play with your kids. When's the last time you played ball with your kids somewhere? Take them to the park. So I just want to challenge you. So let me ask you, what do you do? What do you move? Please tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it. Maybe there's some movement you do. Put it in the comments and 1,000 people will see it, and maybe they'll move. It's another big thing about risk factors and where we are today. So what am I doing? I'm sitting here at the computer making a video for you all to help educate you of what it takes to live lean and maybe live younger longer. But have you heard the comment about sitting is considered the new smoking? Yeah. And why is that? Because why are we sitting so much? We sit at our computers, we have our phones, we have television, we sit at work, we sit to relax, we sit in a car, we drive here, drive there. This is something I've noticed about us people that live in the suburbs. Where do we park when we go to the shopping center? At the closest daggone spot possible. Well, why don't you park 100 parking spaces away and walk? Don't park behind a bush though, so people can see you. You know? So when we do all this, slowly movement disappears and your body just gets weaker. And if you remember my story, okay, I'm almost 81 years old. And I had a heart attack when I was 63. Why did I have a heart attack at 63? Because I didn't pay attention as much as I should have in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. I ate too many of the wrong foods. I was kind of hooked on hamburgers and French fries and Diet Cokes. And diet drinks were terrible. But we didn't know. I got sucked in the hype that everybody else did on processed food. But the secret, we have just damaged our bodies when we're putting this stuff in it. When your body doesn't know what to do with it, it either puts it into fat or the liver stores it somewhere, and it just isn't good. But I do know this. When I had that heart attack skiing with my son on top of Steamboat Mountain, exercise saved my life. When I got discharged from the hospital, the nurses told me that. So I know that is true. And I'm thankful when I was in my late 20s and most of my 30s, I ran a couple miles before breakfast every day. Well, at least 5 days a week. And it paid off. Strength-wise, I was a contractor for about 18 years, and I did a lot of work, so I got plenty of exercise that way. But again, my middle was way too big, and that is one of the keys that doctors look at when you come in, how big your middle is, because that visceral fat we have in our gut is different than the fat we have in our arms and the cheeks and so forth. It is toxic. So remember that. We will talk, that's something else we'll talk about as we move on here, because that's one of the things in primetime health is removing waste from your waist. So exercise saved my life. And by learning to live by learning to live lean and stay active, it helped me in my 60s and 70s, and now even thriving into my 80s. So this week I got a challenge for you. This week's Make a Difference challenge is simple. Move every day. It's not complicated. It's just intentional. Just intentional. Walk. Take a walk, 30 minutes. If you haven't walked for 30 minutes, go try it. You'll be glad you did. Yesterday, I did a lot of computer work again. All day. I was doing my taxes. Yesterday was Monday. I finished getting my taxes ready for the accountant. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I had a meeting coming up at 6:30. I had to do something. So I went out and I cut the grass and cut the backyard, walking. Now I do have self-propelled mower, but yeah, I got a hill and so on and so forth. But I walked for about 35 minutes and just felt absolutely, totally different. And that's what exercise is all about. Again, strength training, I showed you the rubber bands. You can do it. Put 5-pound weights by your desk or 10-pound weights by your desk. Get up every hour if you sit. Set a timer. I do that. I really do that. And, for between an hour and 90 minutes. And then when it happens, I get up and go do some exercises. So just, you don't need to be perfect. You just need motion. So if you're in your early 40s and your 50s, this is your window. This is the time to really take stock of where you are and become that CEO of your health. These are the years small changes can make a big difference. Again, those small changes, they increased our risk. Our risk got increased by small changes, by eating the wrong foods, by not exercising. A little bit here, a little bit there. It's kind of like erosion. You don't know what's happening. And I think for those of you that sadly have been sick and maybe in a hospital for a week or so, or sick and even just being at home in the bed, you know how fast your body goes down and how much strength you lose in that. So remember, you maybe feel fine, but risk could be building. And chances are, depending on what you're doing, if you aren't moving, if you aren't eating the right things, and your attitude is bad, you have an attitude where you're just listening to all kinds of nasty, bad stuff instead of trying to flood your body with positive things. That's all part of it. And that's part of why the blue zones, where people live exceptionally longer than anybody else in the world, is they have community, they have attitude, they got good food, and they got exercise. So step in as your CEO to health. Start moving. Comment below and tell me what you're going to move this week. And if you want to live younger longer, subscribe and follow along for Make a Difference Month. And remember, as Hippocrates said in the 4th century BC, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Thanks so much for listening today. God bless. Come back next week as we go on to the next part of the equation, and that's nutrition. And we've got a lot of things to talk about that. So God bless, take care, and I'll see you next week.